Hey y'all, I'm an I-78. Happy Monday. Now let's take a look at what's going on in DC. The president is expected to speak about his plans to combat crime. As you got folks whining and complaining.
I invite you
So
all
let's see
to
what's up.
join me in this quick call and response. It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. 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 I'm Sam or Samantha Davis. I'm here this morning to make it clear that these young people deserve love. They deserve care, and they deserve our solidarity, not cruelty. This is not about crime. This is about control. This is not about public safety. This is about power. Last week, Donald Trump suggested that children act as adults. Let me ask you, do we want that? No! And Trump's U.S. attorney has said that she wants to come after our youth and was frustrated because
I mean, hell, if your youth is the one out here committing crime, then yes, that's who we coming for. It's as simple.
Trump threatened that if DC didn't start punishing our children more harshly, then he would federalize our city. Do we want that? No! Trump will not bully us into preying on our children. We will not sacrifice our children to a tyrant. Harsher punishment does not improve outcomes for young people in DC or anywhere. We know this. History has shown this. Research has shown this. Instead, here's what we know does improve outcomes for young people. Quality schools. Because education is the best path out of poverty. But Trump has disseminated programs at the U.S. Department of Education that is preventing this from happening. Food. We know we need food because you can't learn when you're hungry. But Trump has done it.
Ain't nobody stopping y'all from eating. He just said you got to pay for it. That's all.
We know we need health care.
You get that too. Y'all need to quit playing.
But Trump is dismantling Medicaid funding for thousands of DC children.
Where?
DC's young people have a bright future when we support them. I know this as with Black Swan Academy having the privilege to work with thousands and hundreds of young people all across DC.
Y'all should not be in this damn predicament.
I'm so excited to be able to introduce you to one of those bright spots, Marcus Williams. Can we give it up for Marcus?
Hello, everybody. My name is Marcus Williams. I'm a youth organizer with Black Swan Academy, graduate of Anacostia High School, and incoming freshman at Morehouse College. Today, I will be speaking out against the harsh reality of what some people believe will change and reform our city for the better. Growing up in DC, specifically Ward 8, it was hard, and I do want.
Okay, sir. So
I do want
we looking at you as the best of the brightest, and you couldn't even memorize a speech that you wrote. We're not doing this.
History has proven that true safety is not about increasing police presence. It's making sure every person has the resources they need to thrive mentally, physically, and emotionally. In honest words, has anybody ever stopped to wonder why the violence in these neighborhoods are happening? People talk about reforming and building a and how can you change or reform a place when the residents of DC did not elect you? DC is our home. It is my home. The people of DC deserve to be heard. and our needs must be addressed with our own communities and with local elected officials. We have the power to represent us. Secondly, back to the topic at hand, the new DC with these harsh laws, like being
Why do y'all
charged
have so
as
many
an adult
needs?
at
That's the
14.
question.
14, your brain doesn't even fully develop until 23 at most. And you think changing a young child.
Okay, so if your brain
Charging a
don't
young
fully
child at
function till
14
you
as
23,
an
then why
adult
black people
makes
always
it
throwing
better.
their kids out at 17 to 18?
You've already go through a lot.
Would that be
especially
child
yourself,
abuse?
And we also don't
Y'all
have
stop
enough
playing these
resources as
games.
it
You
is.
go to
And
college
your
at
first
17
idea
or
of a way
18.
to make a new and better DC is by making a law that hurts young people. A law that creates fear in the young community, especially in the black
Y'all
community.
making up stuff.
African Americans as a whole have suffered specifically from police violence, and you want us to make it easier for black youth to be even more
I'm
criminalized.
African American and I ain't suffering from police violence.
It will not help
Maybe
you
because I know how to
better,
act.
and it will actually cause more trouble. Furthermore, how can you kick out a group of people that has nowhere to go?
Child,
Homelessness has
exactly,
been one of
Eric.
the
He going
biggest
through
issues in
something.
DC for who knows how long.
They
And
told
instead
him
of
to get
trying
up here and
solve
say
it
all of
find
this.
better solutions for it, you want to kick people out. For the past year, it has come to my attention that the DC government has been moving away from trying to fix homelessness, but why? You talk about making DC new and better and all this other stuff, but how can you do that when you're trying to avoid a problem instead of fixing it? How can we reform as a city if people can't? How can we reform as a city if people can't see? Instead of taking the money out of shelters and programs, put more
Okay,
money and time
so
into
shelters and programs don't have nothing to do with y'all performing as a city because people who in shelters and on programs got the performers. See how this don't
Instead
make
of
sense?
avoiding the issues and problems inside of DC and threatening the lives of people in it, why not put more programs in place to help youth not succumb to violence they may see in their everyday lives? Trump has already cut programs for SNAP, health professionals, and TANF instead of adding more trained mental health professionals, adding more and more SNAP and TANF money, and making more places for youth so that they.
Black people don't go to therapy, so get you talking about mental health.
Thank you for listening.
When black youth are under attack, what do we do? When black youth are under attack, what do we do? When black youth
Hey,
are
young
under
man,
attack,
appreciate you.
what do we
Thank
do?
you.
What do we do? What do we do? All right, a DC united will never be defeated. 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 All right, next up,
Hey,
we
H
have
Mob.
Sam Epps with us, the president of the Metropolitan Washington Council, AFL-CIO.
Thank you. And again, Marcus, we wish you the best at Morehouse, and we look forward to you becoming a leader here in DC. Again. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, DC. My name is Sam Epps, and I'm the president of the Metropolitan Washington Council, AFL-CIO. We are a council of more than 150 local unions who together
You ain't never lied,
represent
Eric. That reading
workers
was, yeah,
in DC and in Maryland.
Yeah, that ain't no work.
Our movement includes restaurant workers,
They trying to
firefighters,
talk shit,
teachers,
can't even read.
electrical workers, construction workers, and many other industries that make DC run. Trump's attack on federal workers has hit DC region harder than any other place in the country. The federal government and affiliate industry.
No, it has not. No, we're gonna stop this. Everybody want to be the biggest
More than
victim.
50,000 DC residents are employed by the federal government, about 13% of all jobs in DC. By comparison, federal jobs are 1.9 of all jobs nationwide. And if this president really cared about safety in DC, he wouldn't be spiking unemployment rates here in DC.
Okay, so if government jobs account for 2% of all the jobs in the United States of America, why do we give a
cared
fuck?
about safety in DC, he would reinstate
We should
all
care about 2%.
fired
That
federal
ain't
workers
making no
today,
difference
so
one way or
these
the other.
workers can provide for their families.
That is gonna be making sense.
If Trump really cared about safety in DC, he would respect the collective bargaining rights of federal unions so that DC workers can fight for wages and conditions that they deserve.
Nobody's stopping that.
But he
either.
has not done that. Instead, he has steadily eliminated the jobs that people in DC rely on. The workers who process VA benefits, Social Security checks, who run our airports, who keep our food safe, they all deserve to provide for their families. The good news is there's much more in DC than the federal government.
Okay. Well, then,
There's
no problem finding a job, right?
There's mambo sauce, as is there the federal government. And you know what? The federal government needs DC. The federal government needs DC hotel workers who provide lodging for millions of Americans who visit DC each year. The federal government needs DC first responders who heroically defended the Capitol on January 6th. The federal government needs DC transit workers who get thousands.
Now, what's
of
these
DC air
pants old boy got
every
on?
day.
Mr. Free DC.
The federal
What is this
government
he got on?
needs DC food service workers who serve millions of meals to people in this city every single day. And the federal government needs DC municipal workers who make our city run and cleans up federal parks. We have a saying in the labor movement, if you come for one of us, you come for all of us. Injustice to one worker is an injustice to all of us. And workers make DC run, and this city can't run without us. So we are here in solidarity
It look
with
like
DC
the
workers
city's still
today.
running. So what we
We
saying?
join every day in calling for free DC. So when we fight, thank you.
It look like DC's still running to me. What we doing?
Take it to the streets. This our DC. No justice, no peace. Take it to the streets. This our DC. No justice, no peace. Take it to the streets. No justice, no peace. Okay, y'all. But that's the kids is take it to the streets. This our DC. If we don't get no justice, they're not going to get any peace.
What's the solution to not getting what you
My name
want?
is Lily Tyler, N-E-E-T-A-Y-L-O-R. I'm a co-founder of Free DC Project, and I'm also the executive director and co-founder of Harriet's Wildest Dream. The only violence that's happening in DC right now is the violence against our communities that this president is directing. For 4 nights straight, the president has been trying to provoke violence here, right here, in the black community.
There ain't nobody invoking no violence. Ain't nobody making you act violent.
Our neighbors, having the black community be harassed and profiled and want to respond.
Harassed and profile.
We say, hell no, we won't go.
Like, y'all be killing me with these same narratives.
When we say we won't go, that means we're not going to those mass incarceration, into their prisons and enslavement. We won't go into their ICE, what do you call?
Child, she can't even talk. Talking all this nonsense.
We won't go
It's
to where
such nonsense.
alligators
She can't even
live.
speak.
Hell no, we won't go. Today we gather to speak plainly about policy path that sounds strong, but in truth, it weakens the very safety we seek. We believe there is a better way to protect us all, one that respects rights to build trust and keep our communities truly safe, and that is fascism free. Free is not a roadmap for safety; it is a burial. It fails hardest on the black communities that already we bear a disproportionate share of surveillance, stops, and forces. I want to be clear, we've been here before. This is a long history. Well before today, the black communities bear the brunt of aggressive policing. Data and reports from many credible organizations show patterns. Black people are more likely to be stopped, searched, questioned, arrested, and harmed in encounters with the law. When we add the presence of federal agents or the National Guard to daily life in these neighborhoods, the burden can multiply. Not by making harm more rare, but making it more visible and more likely to escalate. So be clear, this has been going on. But as you bring more
likely to escalate, help. Didn't we just see the video? Y'all like to make it escalate.
have long recognized that community violence cannot be solved through state violence, and have asked for meaningful investments and solutions that are proven to work. Racist over-policing goes beyond DC.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that.
American policing in many regions, like enslaved patrol. Police have been enslaving and murdering Black people with freedom for punishment.
Police ain't been enslaving nobody. Stop playing.
I stand in front of you today with a signal.
So where's all this taking place?
The residents of DC and the country, that we will not,
I promise you, I don't miss it.
As oppressive structures try to harm our communities and take power. The fight for Black liberation and the liberation of all people will not stop, no matter our oppression, intimidation, manipulation tactics. We have the right.
Good morning, Veronica. Welcome.
To protect ourselves and protect each other. And as the executive director of Hers Riders Dreams, I want to name.
I just thought about something. It's Monday morning. It's y'all supposed to be at work.
Never been in danger.
To show the heartbeat of DC and all.
The white civil rights represents the desire from the Jim Crow. Full stop. At Hers Riders Dreams, and as we support Free DC, we're fighting against mass incarceration, policing, ICE, violence towards immigrants and Muslims, violence in Palestine, worker exploitation, and more. We're fighting for freedom and safety for all people, including Black, brown, people who are women, feminine, queer, trans,
no, I'm not from Dallas.
Immigrants, disability, poor, and more. We're not free until all of us are free. We will not.
Well, I don't know what y'all going through because I'm free.
Stand here and allow authoritarianism in Washington, D.C.
I don't know what she got going on, but I'm free.
We are going to be here, and we're not backing down. Know that the safety of a community is inseparable from its sense of belonging and justice, not its fear of somebody's uniform. Let us choose future where safety is earned through justice, not enforced by intimidation. Where Black communities, indeed all communities, feel protected, respected, included in the decisions that shape the lives of people in D.C. And I advise you, if Nene Tay is ever killed by the police or held in a jail cell, don't you sit back and cry for me, you go raise hell. Free DC. Free DC.
You guilty what I'm doing all of that for?
Free DC. Ashe.
Thank you, Nene. Our next speaker is Nadia Salazar, a core organizer with Colectivo Familias Migrantes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nadia. I am an organizer with the Colectivo Familias Migrantes. Very proudly representing our community. Yo estoy hoy día con el Colectivo Familias Migrantes. The district, much like the U.S., was built on the genocide of Native communities and by the forced and violent oppression of kidnapped African people and their descendants. With this, there's a vast history of
I'm over here with the homemade homemade capri pants you got on. I'm still over there.
Therefore, this is our responsibility to ensure that our Black and migrant communities, knowing that these identities can and do intersect, that we have been impacted by the systemic injustice long before ICE began these tactics. After all, slave patrols were the earliest form of police in America, and ICE is just another iteration of that. From criminalizing Black and brown residents through the omnibus bills that they present, through sneaky removals of protections of our migrant communities, DC is constantly under attack and targeted. We live in a time where migrant children are being removed from their foster homes, where construction sites fall silent, when the sun rises while our communities
We should just
kidnap.
say that the
Where raids are so common, we
the
teach
migrant
school
children
songs to
being
children
removed
that
from the
are
foster
in
home.
elementary school.
That don't sound right.
We live in a time where our neighbors are disappearing and are going to state-sanctioned concentration camps like Alligator Alcatraz. And all we came here for when we migrated was safety. Our message is clear. Safety is our children going to school without fear of getting back to an empty home. Safety is restaurant workers going to work freely without fearing their own kidnapping. Safety is school nurses caring for our children without fear of being separated of their own children. Safety is not choosing between deportation or calling an ambulance because you're about to die. Safety is investing in our communities, not our surveillance. Safety is ICE out of our neighborhoods, our schools, our libraries, our construction sites, and our communities. Safety is ICE out of DC. Tengo un mensaje muy claro para la comunidad inmigrante. La seguridad significa que nuestros niños vayan a la escuela sin temor a llegar a una casa vacía. La seguridad significa que inviertan en nuestras escuelas y en nuestros niños. La seguridad significa salir a las calles sin miedo de no retornar a casa. La seguridad significa que inmigración no nos está persiguiendo todos los días. La seguridad significa que nuestras comunidades estén unidas. Thank you all so much. We're here because we believe in free DC. Say free DC. Free? Free. DC. Say free. Free.
Leave this baby out. Leave that baby out of that.
Thank you, Nadia. Next up, we have Reverend T.C. Morrow, pastor for public witness for Ecumenical Connections at Foundry United Methodist Church.
Good morning. I'm Reverend T.C. Morrow, and I'm grounded this day in a piece of scripture from my own Christian
I'm just staying
tradition from
out of
Matthew
order.
25. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you? And the king will answer them, truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me. Let us pray. Oh God, who we know by many names, we give thanks for the air that we
That's how
breathe
women not
this
even
day,
supposed to be
for
preaching.
the city sounds that surround us, and our ability to gather this day to witness on behalf of
Ron,
the
how are you?
7,000 people who call the District of Columbia home. You have empowered people of faith and conscience
Raymond, how are you?
across the ages, oh God, to stand up against injustice and cruelty. In the face of attacks on our freedom and true safety, we ask you to be with us this day as we seek dignity.
Wow.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to my.
I don't know what happened. Hold on, y'all. They still ain't got started yet. So they just cut it off? What the hell happened? Hold on. I was listening to y'all foolishness. There you go. Oh, nope, they did. They cut it off. My bad. So he must be ready to speak. So let's hear what's being said. President said, hell, DC is we in DC. I am DC. We just not gonna have foolishness. No foolishness and no effery, and folks is mad.
You're smiling as well. We need more joy in this world.
They could have transitioned that a little bit better, but I mean, okay. Kevin, you know who doing 90% of that crime. We all know. I'm black. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. And then as soon as something happened, be the same folks. I talk about how they were such a good kid and this and that, and they rap sheet 6 pages long. Free DC from crime, yes. Child, what happened? Y'all hold on. Y'all done went back. That ain't what we supposed to be doing. There we go. Stand up here looking goofy. That's a sausage biscuit. That's what I'm talking about, H-Mob. That's what I'm talking about. Here we go.
Wow. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom.
Now we don't care about those files. That ain't got nothing to do with what's
This
going
is
on right
really
now.
a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is?
All right, Section 7.
And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before.
All
in
right,
addition
go
of
ahead. If you
deploying
haven't,
the National Guard
subscribe
to
button
help
for me.
reestablish law, order, and public safety
Make
in
sure you hit the like
Washington,
button as
D.C.,
well.
and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. DC, 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. That where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down.
No.
And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person a while ago, was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America. Really, it's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOJ staff was savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking. He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person. Waiting for his wife as she was walking to the car. A Democrat congressman was also carjacked at gunpoint not far from the Capitol. And in 2023, an aide to Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason. Horrifically, last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh,
how you know
so
these
terrible.
lies?
No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live. Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day. There are ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, they love to spit in the face of the police as the police are standing up there in uniform. They're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years. I've watched them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any such. So and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central: no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote, because the Democrats are weak on crime, totally weak on crime. They don't know why. They want to stop because they get mugged too. But we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things. And we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill. Got that done, and that's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to people in this country. They're starting to figure it out, how good it is. Biggest tax cut in history. So many things. But we'll be able to get that done. So, Todd, if you and Pam can draw up things working with the people, I'll get it passed. We'll get it passed with the Republicans. Probably won't get, think of this, probably won't get one Democrat vote, because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender. And they just got walloped in an election in a landslide, and they haven't changed one thing. I saw the other day the certain gentleman who was a very well-known politician, Democrat, was fighting like hell that men should be allowed to play in women's sport. They just don't get it. They said it's an 80-20 issue, and I think it's a 97-3 issue. And I don't know who the three are. I've never heard anybody nobody's ever come up to me, sir, you have to let men play in women's sports. You have to do it, sir. Nobody's ever approached me. I don't know where this issue even comes from. Never seen anything like it. But they turned our nation's capital into a sanctuary jurisdiction. That's the other thing. We have to get rid of sanctuary cities as quickly as possible. We're going to do it, too. We have to. Because it's sanctuary for criminals. Releasing illegal alien gang members onto the streets in 2022, nearly 70% of criminals arrested in Washington went unprosecuted. That's not going to happen with the group we have standing aside and standing behind me. And at the Metropolitan Police Department, it's now reached a small number relatively compared to what it was, but it's thousands of people. You know, we have thousands of police. I was told today, sir, they want more police. I heard a number, 3,500 police. That's a lot of police. 3,500. I thought they were going to say, we only have 30 policemen or women. He said, we have 3,500. We need more. You don't need more. That's so many. I never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is rules and regulations, and you need the right people to implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said, there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months. No, really. I fixed it the first week, but really fixed it over the last couple of months. And I mean, literally to a point where, as I said, 0 illegals entering our country in the last 90 days. Pretty amazing. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to take years, because a lot of people die in years. And we've got incredible people in this country, except we have to allow them to do their job. And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last week, my administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF, DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police, and they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They got some police, but they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We have the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designers said, well, we need a 1/4 inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to do it right. We're going to get it done quickly. So today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the street. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard, but Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in, it's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department with proper leadership. They'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long. But some of these people, a lot of them, are homegrown criminals. And these are bad people. These are rough people. And this is just a list of some of the people that were given to me today that were criminals removed from the DC streets this weekend. They were rough and tough, but we're rougher and tougher. Look at these people here. Nothing, you know, they're not going to be your local school teacher. Look at this guy. He has killed people numerous times. They're not going to be an asset. They will never be an asset to society. I don't care. I know we all want to say, oh, they're going to be rehabbed. It's not going to be rehabbed. I'm going to ask Doug Burgum to come up and say a couple of words because he's in charge, as you know. He's Interior, but he's in charge of the U.S. Park Police. And I've heard so many great things about the Park Police. They're proud of it. They've been there for a long time. Their families oftentimes grow into the roles. They love the country. They love this area. So, Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force in the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. They've got the awesome responsibility of protecting our nation's most sacred monuments. The National Mall, Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial, Lincoln Memorial, Statue of Liberty, and out west, the Presidio and the Golden Gate area. These folks have tens of millions of visitors a year, the kind of people that President Trump's talking about that come from around the country and around the world to see our sacred and learn about our history and our sacred monuments. They've been doing a fantastic job, but they are so pleased, the rank and file, that President Trump is now allowing them to enforce the law. As those of you that live in the city may know that the circles and the triangle parks that are spread throughout DC are actually federal park property. So the U.S. Park Police also have responsibility for that. These became littered with homeless camps under the Biden administration. All of you saw that. Since President Trump's executive order on March 27th, making D.C. safe and beautiful again, the U.S. Park Police have removed over 70 homeless camps. And President Trump also talked about beautification. They're stopping in enforcing the laws against graffiti on our monuments. They've removed over 80 specific attacks against our history with graffiti on our monuments. So they continue to do a great job, whether it's in their vehicles, on foot, or on the mounted police that you see around the National Mall. And President Trump, they thank you. The rank and file is so happy to be enforcing the law again. Thank you for your leadership. And they're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you. Very good. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. Pete, could you say something about the military?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the DC National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the DC Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the president noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own. And we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all DC police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful. And as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong. We're right behind you. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm going to ask Pam, because she's now, as you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about. She's done an incredible job. People are going to start to see the fruits of her labor. And Pam, maybe you could say a few words about what we're talking about here.
Sure, President. Let me be crystal clear. Crime in DC is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. DC should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the president said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gadi Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in DC is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge. And she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together, we fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make DC beautiful. We're going to make DC safe again. One other thing, just at the wharf a few days ago, the area of the wharf, Terry Cole reached out to me, not even nightfall, on the weekend, where so many families and tourists go. A guy's overdosing from fentanyl on a park bench in the middle of families around. They administer Narcan and saved his life. No more of that. The President of the United States is going to clean up DC, and we're going to be there to help him, and we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Cash, talk about Northern Virginia, if you would. Northern Virginia, we had a big success.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership, Deputy Attorney General, and the rest of our interagency partners. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi, your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops. Let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions. And that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons, 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cash. So the process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend. We confronted a lot of very bad people, but it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. Getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 DC National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more. You remember I said, I offered 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent. But I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard. They turned me down. But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the Guardsmen, and that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam and with Pete and everybody else. Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world, and we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful, so beautiful. Some of the buildings, we're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that, and I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening. The marble floors are being reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom, I think, anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are standing outside, can't get in this room. I've never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about, I mean, this was a DC news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in DC and beautification of DC, but I'm going to put that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy too. A person who I've known for a long time, and she's been incredible. She was a fantastic, one of the best ever district attorneys in New York. She was in Westchester, and she became a judge, very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a good judge, tough judge, but fair, always fair. Nobody ever complained about that, but she was tough. And because of that and her reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. And she did great. She was on along with a couple of other of my friends on the #1 show. And she did great, but this is what she loves doing. This is really her baby. What she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. We have some open spots, and we're going to take people because the judges are
one thing about Donald Trump, he will fill open judgeships. He don't
it's okay. Don't worry about it. So we're putting some Pam recommended, Todd recommended, some judges that are great. Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, and we could probably create some more. We need them. Janine, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun.
If you're doing crime,
I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens. And it starts today. But it's not going to end today because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. My final note is this.
Half of them can't spell college.
These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the state attorney general, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids because I can't arrest them. I can't prosecute them. They go to family court. And they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you.
Yeah, she mad, ain't she?
If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the
Child,
people know
and
what we signed.
possibly
You want to put them down?
sterilization, Brian.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed 2 crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long. And I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you. So just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world. It was years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem. The radical left got out of control and they started trying to rip down statues. And I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast, but we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety. Nobody gets it. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't get votes. I don't know how they can win an election with this, but they don't want safety. And I found an old statute, very old, early 1900s, that said if you so much as touch or even think about destroying a statue or a monument in Washington, D.C., you go to jail for 10 years with no probation, no anything. In other words, slightly different than we have today. Today we have cashless bail. There you get jail 10 years, no curtailed sentence, 10 years. And we took it out. Nobody used it. It was never used because, you know, it's harsh. And you remember they started to rip down a statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down. He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the rope started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson, others, and they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. They're going to do a big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute immediately. We had it updated. We made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you touch, so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson, and there were 2 ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope, but everybody just left. And that was the last problem we ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild. And somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want to give you an exact because you'll say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates around like early on. You know, if I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson. And I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln. And even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended. And a lot of those people that were woke are now turning out to be the opposite. I won't go so far as to say MAGA. It's a very special category, but they've gotten out of that. But we have people that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, "What a beautiful place!" But if there's crime all over the streets, when you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels and all of the things they've done to hurt this city. And we're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Could I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay if you're soft, weak, and pathetic, like so many people, I will fire you so fast. You're not going to have to worry about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and they have families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now, hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed. In fact, I'm sure it's a violation of every fire code. But we'll let you stay anyway. You're taking a chance. And with that, we'll say, maybe if you could, oh, wow. We could be here all day long. If we could keep the first questions perhaps to this subject, and then we'll go on to a few others. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal
Y'all hit the like button,
we talked about
subscribe
going
if
over
you
Washington
haven't.
Monument and seeing the pride of what DC is, and do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way that crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol, look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders,
Hey, Mahogany,
they're
brother.
all wanting to come. And I say it, I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting other leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investment into our country. But I was a month and a half ago, I was at NATO. We had a great thing. They agreed to put up 5% instead of 2%. 2% they didn't pay, 5% is already paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country in the world right now. The tariffs have helped. It's given us not only the money, it's billions, trillions of dollars of money, but it gives us great power over enemies. We solved 5 wars.
Power over the enemy.
Pakistan and India we just solved one. Azerbaijan and, as you know, and Armenia. War was raging for 37 years. And the 2 leaders got up and they said, we never thought this would be solved. Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done. And I said to the 2 men, I said, are you guys friends? And they had a hard time. You know, they've been killing each other for 37 years, right? One was there 5 years. One was there for 22 years. He said, my whole life I've been fighting this war. And you got it solved. But we did many of those. We did in the Congo and Rwanda. That's been going on for 30 years. 8 to 9 million people killed that they know of, but it was raging, and we got that solved. We got a lot of them done. It's a great honor. But you want to have, when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons. They come for trade. And you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, you know, the metal things that are always, somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? they're always broken and bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it. And it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. And we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where every Saturday, the people go out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet. I don't think, Gaddy, we're not quite there yet, but maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question, it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, you know, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart. And he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in. Because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question.
Mr. President, sorry. Question for you on the specific issue. Do you expect more cities to follow DC's path if this goes through? So the idea is that Chicago, LA, San Francisco, would they expect similar action to what we've seen in DC? Any other questions, sir? There's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, but we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early, but you know, somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject, the subject of marijuana. I've heard great things having to do with medical, and I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else. But medical and, for pain and various things, I've heard some pretty good things. But for other things, I've heard some pretty bad things. The other part of your question, I mean, we're just going to see what happens with it all. We're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching, and maybe they'll clean up, and maybe they'll do this and get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that caused the problem. I mean, if you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. You know, everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you know, our secretary did a great job. They did a great job. There's no games. They didn't play games. And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You know, you never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business. But when I look at Chicago and I look at LA, if we didn't go to LA 3 months ago, LA would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into LA. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully LA is watching. That mayor also, the city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there, and I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. It was, their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was literally, it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing, like a blowtorch. They were standing on this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered, almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately, Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we could have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding their homes then and there. And the mayor said, we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame. 2 years. Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately, 2 years. And she roared back, well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes. And now they're talking about putting, this is among the most beautiful areas was in the country. Now they're talking about putting low-income housing there. Can you believe this? I love low-income housing. I made money with low-income housing. I built low-income housing. I know more about low-income housing and luxury housing. I know about everything real estate. They want to replace some of those homes with low-income housing. They haven't gotten their permits yet. We've gotten all the federal permits, which are much tougher to get. And it was done almost immediately through Lee Zeldin and Federal Environmental. And I watched the other day, those people are angry. And now, they had tremendous, they loved that area. They loved the whole big area, different places, but they loved it. It was all luxury stuff and beautiful stuff. And some wasn't that luxury, but the level of love for that neighborhood, their neighborhoods was incredible. And you know what? I watched people on television. They want to go. They want to leave. They've lost their spirit. They've lost their heart because the mayor's incompetent. And Gavin Newsom is incompetent. Got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent. And you have Los Angeles is, it's amazing. I called, the first thing I did, I got the Olympics to go there. I was the one that got it. And by a rare thing that happened, I'll be the president. I was very upset because I got the Olympics there and I said, I won't be president when it comes, but bad things happened and illegal things happened, really illegal things happened. Now it turns out one good thing was I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things. And I hope 250 is going to be, the 250th anniversary is going to be the best. But when I looked at those people and I saw last night on television that they still don't have their permits, it's a disgrace what's happened in Los Angeles.
Thank you. The China tariff deadline is tonight. Do you plan to extend that?
We'll see what happens. China's been, we've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America. And we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
President, you mentioned your upcoming meeting with President Putin. Can you tell us what you hope to get out of that and whether you consider inviting President Zelensky to join?
So you have to understand, this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. It would have never happened. It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin. But if you look, under President Bush, they took a lot of territory. Under President Obama, they took a lot of territory. Under Biden, they essentially took the whole thing. It's just a question of time. Under Trump, you know what they took? Nothing. I was the one that said, you can't build your pipeline. That was half built. I came in, I stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody knows that. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You might have not even heard it. Biggest pipeline in the world. I stopped it. I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did. Biden came in and he immediately approved the pipeline. I couldn't believe it. Then they say Trump wasn't tough on Russia. I wasn't tough. I was the toughest. Putin said, if you're not tough, I would hate like hell to see you. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job that Russia had ever built. I stopped it. It was dead. And this low IQ president came in and he let them build a pipeline and supply oil and gas all over Europe, you know? So this is really a feel out meeting a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold. That's cold. But it's a violent war. 5,000 to 7,000 people a week are dying. And you know, there's nobody from here. They're all Russian and Ukrainian people, and some people from the cities, much smaller number, but still, those missiles do damage and they kill a lot of people, but mostly soldiers. And they're young soldiers, although in the case of Ukraine, they're getting much older. They're drafting 60-year-olds now. It's a terrible thing to witness, and I think I have an obligation. Look, this is Joe Biden's war. This is not my war. I made a deal with NATO a month ago. You covered it very accurately, actually. We don't pay anything anymore. You know, we're not paying anything. They are buying things from us, and NATO is paying us. I got it raised from 2% of GDP to 5%. And they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying. But Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office. The auto pen took office. Bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said. And it ended up in a war. And you know, and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now. But I thought it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country as opposed to us going to his country or even a third party place. But I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately, maybe as I'm flying out, maybe as I'm leaving the room, I'll be calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, you know, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, you know, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need, but I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody to the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad. But it's very complex because you have lines that are very uneven. And there'll be some swapping. There'll be some changes in land. And the word that they will use is, you know, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean, you know, in real estate, we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're in a lake, a river, or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the president of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That was a big blow. And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that, but I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to meet about. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, I was not nice to him because of the pipeline. I ended the pipeline. I also gave the javelins. Do you ever hear of a javelin? Javelin is called a tank buster. They say that Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me, all those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud, some commander made a better. They would have been in Kiev in 4 hours going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud, and they went along with the javelins. I gave them the javelins. You know that, right? I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders, and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first, and then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting, or I may say we can make a deal. I will tell you this. I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. Everybody's gung-ho for war until you have it. It's an amazing thing. I had it with a couple of countries where I couldn't get a deal done with one particular country. And I just couldn't. The guy's great. He's a friend of mine. Great. Good leader. Tough as hell. I couldn't get the deal done. And then he went into war for a short period of time. You know where I'm talking about. First term. And it was nasty. Guys being killed all over the place. And he went through 1 week of war, and I was able to get the deal done. He said, this is nasty. Yes, please.
Yeah, just to follow up on what you were saying there. First of all, Volodymyr Zelensky is not invited on Friday?
He wasn't a part of it. I would say he could go, but he's gone to a lot of meetings. He's been there for 3.5 years. Nothing happened.
And what is the definition?
I mean, do you want somebody that's been doing this for 3.5 years? What's the definition of a good deal? I'll tell you after I hear what the deal is, because there could be many definitions. You're talking about a very large and complex situation. Now, I tell you, the war that I just settled with Azerbaijan and with, as you know, in Armenia was almost as complex as this one, having to do with routes, trade.
Meeting on Friday with Vladimir Putin.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
How will you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, one about China, one about Russia, if I could. On China, your administration agreed to send the most advanced or advanced NVIDIA and AMD chips.
No, obsolete. No.
Obsolete chip. Well, and then 15% of the
You mean
profits
the
come back.
20s? No, that's This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it and even then some. Now, Jensen's a very brilliant guy. And Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced. I wouldn't make a deal with that, although it's possible I'd make a deal, a somewhat enhanced in a negative way Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things, but it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20% if I'm going to approve this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And he said, would you make it 15? So we negotiate a little deal. So he's selling a essentially old chip that Huawei has a similar chip, a chip that does the same thing. And I said, good, if I'm going to give it to you, because they have a, they have a stopper, what we call a stopper, not allowed to do it. It's really known as a restrictive covenant. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you to pay us as a country something, because I'm giving you a release. I released them only from the H20. Now, on the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that, but that will be a unenhanced version of the big one. Like, I don't know if you know it, we will sometimes sell fighter jets to a country and we'll give them 20% less than we have. You know what I mean, right? That's the same.
So on Russia, do you see a time, Mr. President, when there could be normal trade between the U.S. and Russia? Should your meeting go well? Should there be peace?
I do. Yeah. Russia has a very valuable piece of land. If Vladimir Putin would go toward business instead of toward war, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we. And they beat Napoleon. They've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right? From Hungary, the head of Hungary. And he's in that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question. He said, Russia's a massive country and they win their country and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do. He said, China beats you with trade. Russia beats you with war. It was a very interesting statement. China's not beating us with trade, not when I'm in charge, but they were beating Biden with trade, but they never beat us with trade. Don't forget, China had to pay $400 billion worth of tariffs when I was last time. That was last time. And if we didn't have COVID, all of this stuff we would be loaded. We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now because of tariffs. And all we're doing is we're doing what they do to us. It's so beautiful to see it. They found last month, as you saw, $25 billion of excess cash flow. They're saying, where did it come from? I said, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from a place called tariffs, and we're doing very well. We're really doing well. But I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason, to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great. complex war, a lot of bad blood, But Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years. So if you put him in a room, now I will say this, ultimately, I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or won't be there. And I think it'll get solved.
I held him know.
Yeah,
Ladies
please
and
do.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me, I'm going to suggest, because do you have any other questions on DC? Because I don't want them to be, wait. These are incredible people. I don't want them to be standing up here on subjects that, does anybody have a question of them? And then you guys can leave. Okay, a question, Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right.
And by the way, this is only on DC, and then they're going to leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long.
I agree.
Brian.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars,
right.
Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question, I'll after you answer that, please.
You want me to answer?
Or whoever wants to take it.
Okay. It's real. Do you want me to answer it? Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, or even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, cashless bail. That has to be changed. All right. Then, even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the DC Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs all to be changed.
Okay, Mr. Question.
Pam, would you answer that also?
Yeah, and just back to that topic. Let's be clear, though. We're going to charge them, and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you and let all of you know what's happening to them. Because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
Mr. President, you also made the comment. This is the most people we've ever seen in this briefing.
I've never seen
ever, right?
Yes. I've never seen any. Where's Caroline? Where's my superstar? Caroline. Is Caroline in the back? Where's Caroline? Come here, Caroline. Come here, Caroline. Come here. Is she doing a good job, by the way? Come here, Caroline. Is this the largest crowd that you've ever seen?
This is definitely the most packed briefing, and I think all of you would agree. I think it's why we need to build a ballroom.
Mr. President, I have a better idea.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
My question is this. You're building the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room?
Yes.
Technology.
Yeah.
More seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. So no, I don't want to make life comfortable. So look. Let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally. I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually, and they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd on trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. It should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of, they should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. they want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait. And we're going to try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There are a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me, very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead.
Would you talk to them before?
Yeah, I did. I'm talking to them right now. So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It's going to be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success. As far as this, what we did today, and I think you were here for DC more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, we have a couple of days to go, but the Russia is going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, and we're going to take back our capital. We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also. But other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
All right, y'all. So we have heard from the president. He is serious about cleaning up DC. He says that DC is basically the face of the United States, and on his watch, it is not going to be a cesspool for crime and debauchery and deviant behavior. He's just not going to have it. So, he's trying to make some substantial changes. They're talking about changing the law, not just, trying to plead with people to get their life right and think about what they're doing. They talking about changing laws, which is gonna have a long lasting effect. They over this, you 14, 15, 16 years old out here. Okay, Luna, you say you excited. Yeah, cause I'm over the crime. You got 14, 15, 16-year-olds out here just, wreaking havoc. Like they said, they actually out here, taking people's lives and just committing all kinds of crime that, just shouldn't even be on your mind. But, that's what they got going on. So, if you don't want your kids caught up in it, raise your kids. Like it's not hard. It ain't hard at all. But yeah, I feel like, if you out here and you acting up, then yeah, police ought to be able to touch you. They ought to be able to touch you. I have absolutely no problem with that at all. And if you do, you're probably one of the ones with these kids out here acting a damn fool. You have to see about that. So, y'all out here worrying about these Epstein files. Again, I don't understand what, reading or having access to what you consider to be the official file. Because again, if you're relying on somebody else to give it to you, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know if it's a real file or they jumped on AI and made it up, or if I made it up and told them to give it to you. Like, you have no idea what that is. So again, what is that really gonna do for you? Just because I want to know what is having access to that gonna do for you? Hold up, y'all. Wait a minute. Like a steel plant, Clariton Steel had an explosion in Pennsylvania. Hold on. Got too much going on. Yeah, multiple injured after reported explosion. Hold on, y'all. We're gonna take a look at this real quick. Oh God, it's trash day. Excuse the noise.
We've seen helicopters take off, taking the injured to the hospital. We are working to find out all the information. We have crews on the ground and in the air as we piece together the important information about what's taking place. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 at noon begins right now.
Okay.
This is Pittsburgh's Action News 4 with breaking news.
We begin with breaking news on this Monday. Police and fire crews on the scene of a reported explosion and fire at the U.S. Steel Clairton plant. There are multiple injuries. This all happened just before 11 o'clock this morning, not too long ago. Crews have been on the scene for more than an hour. We have been told there are injuries associated with an explosion here. We've seen medical helicopters leaving the scene, leaving the inside of that plant in Clairton. Covering Allegheny County, Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Kaylee Gunderson joins us live now with what we know so far. Kaylee.
Well, Shannon, this is our vantage point on the ground, looking straight into that entrance of the plant on Maple Avenue. We're a few blocks back, though, for our safety and for the safety of the crews, of course, to give them their space to work and set up a perimeter around the scene. But as you mentioned, an explosion reported, multiple people injured. We're working to learn the extent of those injuries and exactly what happened to lead up to an explosion inside that plant. But like you said, we've seen multiple ambulances coming from all over the county in and out of this scene. Sometimes, as you can see right now, there's an ambulance coming out quietly. We've seen them going in with sirens blaring. So it's been a bit of a different, a mix of urgency from those ambulances. But it seems to be, as we're just watching, perceiving the scene, an all hands on deck situation. We've got crews coming from across the county to help and to be a part of this response. Now, again, this is the Clairton Coke Works plant. It's right off the main route here, State Street. So it's a very busy intersection. We're seeing a lot of people stopping with questions, wanting to know what's going on. And that's what we're trying to figure out right now. But again, just looking at this scene, you can get a sense of the urgency. You can see how many responders are here, just assisting, doing their job. And hopefully we'll get those answers soon. But again, a very hectic scene right outside the entrance of the Coke Works plant.
Thanks so much. I want you to stay right there, and I want to actually clarify something. If we can come back on camera a little bit to me while we show this scene. We have not heard from U.S. Steel yet. I thought that we did, but we haven't. Who we have heard from is the union, U.S. Steel, the Steelworkers Union, USW, has responded to our questions and our inquiries into what's going on. The USW folks tell us this. We can confirm there's been an incident at the USW, has a team en route. We will let you know if we have any updates on this. So again, the union has responded to us. So far, U.S. Steel has not, but we will bring you their response to this emergency at the Clairton Coke Works as soon as we get that. But back to you, Kaylee, you're seeing folks, if you could just describe what the mood is there in Clairton. We saw just folks rushing in, not just emergency responders, but people who live in that community. It's a pretty stressful situation.
Girl, what is wrong with the bottom half of your face?
Absolutely, Shannon. We've seen a lot of people rush into the scene very concerned, wanting to know what happened. They have their theories as to why or what they heard. But as you said, we know there was some form of an explosion and that there are people hurt. So people obviously want to show up and get answers to those questions, find out who was involved and exactly the extent of what happened. And we've been seeing people line the blocks as it gets closer to the scene. But just moments ago, I ran into the mayor, Rich Latanzi. He's here with us. Mayor, what can you say just about what you're hearing of this ongoing situation?
Well, obviously it's a tragedy. And like I said, it's just a sad day for Clairton and anyone that's associated with the Clairton mill or all the families that have families that work in the mill. I mean, to go to work and not knowing if your loved ones are coming home or your kids or just in there with the other workers knowing that, hey, this could be me. And it's just that I got people calling my phone constantly. They want to know information because everyone cares. Some people will ask a little bit about the environment, but most of it has to do about the safety and the welfare of the families. And my heart goes out to everyone. And these things are not supposed to happen. And unfortunately, they do happen from time to time. But God bless everyone. I hope no one was killed. And I hope everybody can recover from this. And it's so unfortunate.
And is your understanding what happened at this point the same as ours? Multiple people reported injured after an explosion?
Yeah, I just heard something about an injury. I mean, not an injury, but an explosion in the reversing room, which is between 13 and 15 battery. And it's and the batteries will not, run without the reversing room. But there was some type of explosion, and no one knows what caused it, what the ignition source was. I did hear that there were some people that were injured, and it's just so unfortunate. I don't care if you broke a bone or you had a heart attack or you're in critical condition. It's all sad.
Have you been able to make contact with U.S. Steel or anyone directly related to what's going on in the plant right now?
Well, I do know a few people that work in the plant that are not the higher management right now, because I'm sure they got a plate full on their hands. But I talked to some of the people in the union and some of the workers I know, and unfortunately, they're trying to get answers as well. They mentioned about somebody still missing, so there's just so much going on. We'll know more later, but unfortunately, tragedy and another sad thing for Clairton. And U.S. Steel, just saying this is just going to set us back tremendously.
What's your message to the community as they come out here? They have questions and they're obviously concerned about what's going on.
My message to the public is just pray for these people and their family. There's no time to be pointing fingers and all that. Let's just pray for a good outcome. And like I said, this mill was so instrumental in Clairton's growth. And everybody knows that when you take this job, there's always some danger involved. And like I said, today shows that what these jobs can bring about. And people that don't have respect for steel workers, they got to have respect now to know that this ain't a normal job. This is a job that when you go in any day, any of your life working, that anything could go wrong. And they accept that.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Again, a positive message from the mayor here, just hopeful that they will have more answers soon. He mentioned that he's hearing possibly one person still missing. That's something that we'll have to confirm officially. He also mentioned some details about where exactly in the plant this might have happened. Those details we will work to confirm as well. But great to hear from the mayor here, as he's very active on scene, trying to get information as well from those working inside. And we will continue to do that as well. Shannon.
Haley, you bring up a really interesting point, because we are hearing a lot of things that we aren't reporting yet, because what we need to do is confirm those things. The mayor mentioned one thing about a possible missing person. We're not reporting that because we don't have that confirmed. We have a process here, and confirming information is part of our process so that the information we put out is the best information and is accurate information. So part of Kaylee's job right now is to try to work on confirming that. And she's doing a great job at that. And we have an entire team of people who are doing that. So we've got some information right now from Allegheny County. Kaylee, we're going to check back with you shortly. An Allegheny County spokesperson says just moments ago, Health Department is on scene. So the Allegheny County Health Department is monitoring the air quality there. They monitor that air 24/7, but it sounds like they've got some extra folks working on that right now. Okay, also from Allegheny County, they tell us that emergency services is on scene. That's clear to us. There is an active rescue mission underway for people trapped. So this is the county confirming to us that there is a rescue mission underway for trapped individuals at the Clairton Coke Works. That is a very delicate situation. Okay, the county spokesperson also says this: additional people have injuries but are not in critical condition. We will release further details when we have them. Okay, I want to go back through that real quick, just so people can hear that again. So we've heard from Allegheny County. They said that there's an active rescue going on for trapped individuals inside the Clairton Coke Works. There's a rescue mission there for those folks. We know about additional injuries. Those additional injuries are not people who are in critical condition. And they're also monitoring the air quality there. Sam Hall in Sky 4, tell me what you're seeing right now here at 7 minutes after 12.
Well, I can confirm that indeed there is still smoke on this scene as you take a look at where that explosion and then subsequent fire took place. And I feel like we've, for a large portion of this, been thinking that this were fire crews putting this water, but I think this water is maybe from a sprinkler system, as part of the roof may have collapsed, but the pipe remained intact, and that water just continues to flow out there. No firefighters are putting water on this scene. There is still smoke on the scene, and this is kind of the inside of the building, if you will. I believe where the rescue mission is taking place is the opposite side of that building. We see heavy equipment and crews on the other side of the building, because right now I think going in from this side would be impossible in any terms of any rescue because of the structural integrity of the building right now, severely compromised by the explosion. That's either a wall or the ceiling we see in a large chunks there laying on the ground. So crews are having to go from the other side of the building into that area. There you see a cherry picker and crews on the scene there to go inside and try to complete that rescue mission that you mentioned they're currently working on. But again, still smoke. There are, by my count, 4 medical helicopters that have come to this scene, and certainly many injuries, more, of course, as we get in from Sky 4. Shannon.
Stay with me. You said you saw 4 helicopters arrive. Did you see 4 helicopters leave? Okay, we're going to get that question to Sam Hall. We know that at least 4 medical helicopters have arrived on the scene. I saw at least one of them taking off. I just want to reiterate that what we're dealing with now at the Clairton Coke Works for U.S. Steel is a rescue operation. We're told that there are people trapped inside the wreckage of an explosion and fire, and now emergency rescue crews are trying to get to those trapped people, and we're going to keep you updated. That's from Allegheny County telling us that. We also know that there are multiple injured people not trapped right now who have already been freed, but their injuries are not critical. Again, Sam Hall was giving us that picture from Sky 4. We saw a lot of water going on to the wreckage there, but Sam has clarified to us that that's probably from the physical plant itself, that there's water within the sprinkler system there that's busted open, and we're seeing water on that debris right there. Again, a rescue operation underway right now. We just want to pause right now and tell you what the Breathe Project is saying. The Breathe Project is a local advocacy group concerned with the environment. They posted this on Facebook. Air quality alert Clairton and Mon Valley residents. As this plume of smoke spreads, air quality will worsen. People should shelter indoors, waiting for a health alert from Allegheny County Health Department. Now, I will tell you that in this area, probably over the past 10 years, 5 to 10 years, more health department monitors have been set up just for air quality that everyone has access to. Liberty is the one that is closest there, I believe, and we're waiting to see what those readings are at those air quality monitors that surround U.S. Steel's operation and really are scattered through the Mon Valley, through U.S. Steel's footprint on both sides of the Monongahela River. But the Breathe Project wants us to tell you, and they're posting on Facebook, that you should shelter indoors if you're near this plume of smoke because it could cause some problems for you. They're telling folks to be inside if you don't have to be outside. Let's go now to reporter Yasmin Rodriguez interview with a construction worker who was next to the Coke Works at the time. Here's what he heard, saw, and felt.
Okay.
Tell me what time it happened, what you felt, what was going on.
Oh, I would guess it was probably about 40 minutes ago. Time has flown by. Felt like thunder, but it literally we're on scaffold. Shook the scaffold, shook my chest, and shook the building. And then we saw the dark smoke coming up from the steel mill.
Did you realize it was the steel mill at that time? Put two and two
together, and it's like something bad happened.
And in that moment, did you realize it was the steel mill?
Yeah, you could see it from 837 on the road.
Kind of explain to me what that looks like, that black smoke, and did you see the fire actually billowing?
I did not see any fire. I couldn't see the tops of the flames. All I saw was the black smoke, which has dissipated now. I don't know if they have it under control or whatnot, but not nearly as much smoke as there was a half hour ago.
What does that scene kind of look like now?
Every fire department within 15 miles is here. A lot of ambulances, lots of sirens.
Did you physically hear an explosion?
Oh yeah, it sounded like thunder.
Wow. How far is your work site from the mill?
A half mile to a mile.
So everybody on your site kind of felt it and heard it.
Yeah, not even a half mile. We're pretty close.
Okay, sir, you got to come on now. You up here, you
emergency
were
responders in the background of you. Wow.
putting in
Have
work, and you
you
picked each
worked
other
in this
mission
area for a
together.
long
We got to
time?
talk.
We've been down here for about 2 weeks. We're doing a brick veneer on a building, and just so happened to be down here while it was happening.
Any evacuations happening right now in your area?
I honestly, I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Are you guys kind of hunkering down in the meantime?
We're continuing to work. But hopefully, I don't know, maybe it'll be an early quit day. I don't know.
Is there
worried about the guys down there?
Yeah. Is there anything else about the scene that you can kind of tell us, describe what's going on? Because we're seeing it from that aerial view, but you're kind of seeing it firsthand. Is there anything else that you can kind of tell us that would help?
From my understanding, there was construction going on down there. It might have been because of the Nissan merger or Nippon merger. I'm not sure, but it could be due to some type of construction.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak facts. This is all opinion.
Can you still see that smoke though right now?
No, not from where I'm at. It's kind of dissipated enough that it's really not the same billowing cloud that it was when it first happened.
That was an interview that our Yasmin Rodriguez did with a construction worker very close to the Clairton Coke Works who heard and felt the explosion around 11 a.m. today when he and some of his coworkers were on scaffolding outside, that scaffolding shaking after this explosion at U.S. Steel's operation there in Clairton. We want to repeat right now that what we're dealing with is a rescue operation. We have seen some patients be transported out of the Clairton Coke Works, which is a steel making facility, where there has been an explosion. We've seen patients transported out of there on helicopter. We've seen ambulances leave on the ground, and we know that there are multiple people trapped. Allegheny County spokesperson is telling us that rescuers right now are working to free trapped people inside the Clairton Coke Works after a terrible explosion. All right, so we just heard from an Allegheny County police spokesperson. Jim Madalinsky says this: we were just requested, I can confirm, reports of an explosion and multiple injuries, more details to follow. All right, so Allegheny County police have been called in to the scene. We know that Allegheny County's emergency management is there as well and working to get there and get the flow of information going. And we are getting some of that very early information about this. We've heard from the union, the USW, U.S. Steelworkers Union, saying that they're on the scene, getting to the scene so they can respond to this. We have calls, emails, text messages into U.S. Steel management, the leadership of this company where there has been an explosion. Earlier this summer, the Allegheny County Health Department reported elevated sulfur levels in coke oven gas while repairs took place within a control room. This was on June 2nd. The Allegheny County Health Department's Liberty Monitor, that's in the borough of Liberty, it's an air quality monitor, that measured a significant spike of hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide during the breakdown. Again, this particular incident happened just 2 months ago in June. There have been some problems in the past at the Clairton Coke Works. What we want to do now is go back out to Kaylee Gunderson live on the ground. And Kaylee, our latest information from the county is that this is now a rescue operation. Yes, we've seen patients being transported out of there by helicopter, maybe by ambulance as well on the ground. But we know this is a rescue operation too. What's your sense? You've been there more than an hour. What's your sense of those first responders getting to the scene, the experts who do the delicate work of rescue? Have you seen anything in regards to folks going to the scene to help out?
Well, Shannon, we've seen a huge rush of those first responders going in right here on Maple Avenue, straight into the entrance of the plant. Now, it's cleared out just a little bit in the last few minutes. We've seen some fire trucks and ambulances leave the scene slowly, not in an urgent manner, but leave this area in particular. But what I can say is that it's been a lot of coming and going of ambulances, emergency responders, police, those helicopters you mentioned, very indicative of this being a rescue mission, calling in all the troops essentially to get here and make that a joint effort. Now, again, there's still a lot of questions, of course, about how many people are inside, how many people were hurt. That's the concern on people's minds who've gathered here, of course, wanting to know the answers to those questions and wanting to, just watch this unfold. This is such a staple in this community. People work here. It's been part of their lives forever. So when you hear something like this happening, it spreads a ripple effect and a shock through the community. The mayor kind of summed that up for us a few minutes ago, as he also described what he was hearing, which was a possible rescue, which we now know to be the case, that there are people, perhaps one or more, we don't know that yet, but there is a rescue effort ongoing. And, I heard from that call that Yasmin took about them describing the shake and the, just the feeling of that explosion. We also have heard that same sentiment from people who are just driving down this road, leaving work, going, to home or wherever they're going. And they've stopped by, rolled down their window and said, hey, what happened? I felt a shake. I felt my office shake or my car shake. So this was definitely something that was widespread. We don't know how widespread that feeling, but it's something people are reeling from this morning, afternoon now, as they've heard the news of this explosion. Shannon.
Kaylee, it's interesting. So that's a perspective that we're looking for from you to talk to the people there on the ground driving by. So in Kaylee's words, you're having people in the community who felt this explosion quite literally, but they're also feeling this explosion emotionally because people are tied to this part of their community. This Clairton Coke Works, the Mon Valley steel operation in the Mon Valley, is at the heart of this community. It has been the lifeblood economically for individuals who live here for generations, for more than 100 years, dating back to Andrew Carnegie in our area. So this explosion today is emotional, it's upsetting, and we are just getting information that there is still an emergency going on right now because people are trapped. And experts who deal with collapse and rescue missions to free trapped people are there. They're on scene. They are working to free those trapped individuals, conceivably employees, workers at U.S. Steel's Clairton Works, who are now trapped, and to see what their status is and how they're doing. This has rattled the community. And we've also seen what people do when there is an emergency is that they respond and they go. Yes, the experts, the police, fire, medics, the individuals who are charged and trained. Okay, the people who are trained to respond to this, we just also have people whose hearts are now broken and they're very concerned that they want to help and they are going to the scene too. But we have been seeing from the Breathe Project and people concerned with air quality that there is a plume of smoke and that could cause some breathing problems for folks, that could cause some pollution problems for this region as well. And so while we want to talk about the fact that there are people still being rescued, this can also be an environmental emergency as well. And we want to make sure you have all of the information. All right, we just heard from Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro about the explosion at the Clairton Coke Works. He just put out a statement on X. It says this, quote, "My administration is in touch with local officials in Clairton, PA, as they respond to an explosion at U.S. Steel's Clairton Coke Works plant this morning." So PEMA, that's the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Association, the headquarters there in Harrisburg, and also the Pennsylvania State Police are in touch with first responders and have offered all assistance. The scene is still active. This is the governor talking on X here. And folks nearby should follow the direction of local authorities. Please join Lori and me in praying for the Clairton community. That's Lori Shapiro, the First Lady of Pennsylvania. Okay, also, we heard from Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. And I want to say this before I say what he said on X. Austin Davis grew up in McKeesport, okay? So he's the Lieutenant Governor of the state. He knows this area. He says this on X. The Mon Valley is my home, and I know people that work at the Clairton Coke Works. Blair and I are praying for the workers and their families, and I've been in contact with local leaders and the steel workers. The Commonwealth is providing whatever resources and manpower are needed to help with the emergency response. The Lieutenant Governor, Austin Davis, goes on to say this: please stay away from the area at this time
don't
to
get in the
allow
way.
emergency crews to do their job and follow all future guidance from officials for those that live nearby. Okay, so you've got the Lieutenant Governor, who's from McKeesport, and he is saying to you, listen, you may be very close with somebody there. This may be a huge part of your community, but if you want to do the right thing and you are not a first responder, you don't need to be there. You need to be away from the scene so that those trained first responders can do their jobs. That's from the Lieutenant Governor. All right, this is a live picture right now. His new view of the scene from Drone 4 at the Clairton Coke Works. Okay, we've got the drone up in the air, and what I want to do is get you, first of all, the drone is capturing, this is live right now. You're seeing a live picture of the Clairton Coke Works on this beautiful sunny day where a tragedy has occurred. On this Monday morning, just about an hour and a half ago, an explosion within the confines of this plant, this factory that makes coke for the steelmaking process right in our community. This is our community where this tragedy has occurred, and this emergency is not over. We're in the middle of it because what's taking place now, it looks calm here from this shot of Sky 4, but we've seen folks running, and we know inside the walls of this plant, people are working hard to get to trapped individuals inside this steel mill. We just heard from UPMC, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Mercy Hospital. They have a burn unit there. And we know that there are 2 patients there at that hospital. We do not know if they're being treated for burns. We know that those patients went to Mercy, which is telling because we are dealing with a fire and an explosion right now. But UPMC just confirming to us that they have 2 patients. You think about it right now, there is just a flurry of doctors and nurses and medical staff inside Mercy Hospital on Pittsburgh's Bluff who are working frantically right now with all their training and expertise to respond to 2 injured people from an explosion and fire at a U.S. steel plant here in our community, all just a few miles away down the river from where the explosion happened. So once again, UPMC Mercy Hospital confirming to us now their doctors and nurses are able to get to work treating 2 patients from this terrible explosion here today on this sunny Monday here in the Mon Valley. If you're just joining us, we want you to know that there is an emergency taking place right now in your community. We are showing you this live picture from Sky 4, and this picture really does say 1,000 words. There's blackened rubble. There's water spewing from a sprinkler system, we believe. It appears that there is damage, severe damage to the structure of the Clairton Coke Works U.S. Steel mill, a factory where people have been injured and taken to the hospital, and there are also people trapped inside. Within this, what you can't see are the trained rescuers working hard to free the trapped individuals. Allegheny County, they have a spokesperson Abigail Gardner, who has let us know that there are trapped individuals in this and that emergency first responders are working right now inside this building beyond the charred rubble to free those individuals from the wreckage. What we are working to find out is what the status of that rescue operation is. This is a minute-by-minute situation. We have all hands on deck. We are not letting go of this situation. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 is your source for information that is up to the minute, up to the second. We are getting information from all of our crews right now. What's that, Nick? Okay, let's go up to Sam. Sam, you're able to give us a great perspective on this and a view of really this tragedy. You've been over this plant before covering emergencies.
Yes, we've been over here several times in Clairton. No question about that.
That's not
Continue
good.
to see smoke now coming from the plant, from the explosion site. We can see a tremendous amount of rubble. And again, a vehicle that was parked alongside that building is severely damaged from the explosion and then the subsequent fire. We can also see the crews on the other side of that building. We talk about a rescue message that is continuing as you have crews entering from the opposite side of the building because the structural integrity on the side where the explosion occurred, it clearly blew out at least a portion of an exterior wall, some of the ceiling. It appears that the ceiling had a sprinkler system attached to it, collapsed to the ground. That sprinkler system continues to pour water. They cannot enter the building from that side to try and rescue those that are trapped inside. So this is the crews on the other side of the building continuing to try and rescue people that are trapped inside the building. Also not far from here, we now have a fourth medical helicopter on the scene. 3 have arrived and left with patients. A fourth awaits any more patients that might need to be airlifted out of the situation. And again, I'll pan down in here and show you all the emergency crews on the scene kind of resting, getting their water, because we haven't mentioned at all the brutal conditions from a weather standpoint that these crews have had to deal with fighting this fire and trying to help these people out and dealing with this explosion. It is unbelievably hot, and they're wearing this heavy equipment and heavy uniform. Just a very, very rough situation here in Clairton. More, of course, as we get it from Sky 4. Shannon.
It's an important update that you mentioned there, Sam, for sure, that you've seen 4 helicopters come into the Clairton Coke Works, that U.S. Steel plant. You've seen 3 leave, conceivably with patients on board. We heard from UPMC Mercy, where they have a burn unit, that 2 patients are there getting treatment right now. And Sam is able to show us from his perspective, the rescue operation. You see ambulances right there. Those ambulances theoretically can take an injured person from the scene, from the explosion, after hopefully they get extricated ASAP to the waiting helipad. Again, this Clairton Coke Works has a helipad there for just this kind of day, and they're using that helipad today. And you've got a lot of folks, just a huge response of emergency workers responding to this emergency here at the Clairton Coke Works. Yeah, and it's interesting. You can see the river there. You see railroad tracks. You see barges. You don't often get this view when you're driving through Clairton or you're around the Mon Valley. You can see coal coming in. You can see coke going out of the steel mill, and you get a sense for how large this structure is. And yes, there are not nearly as many people who work in the steel industry as they did 40 years ago, but there are a lot of folks who punch their cards every day at this plant and go to work here every day, who are Pittsburghers, who are your friends and neighbors, who call this home, their home away from home, that they're going to work every single day. And today there is a terrible emergency that you really don't like to see. The mayor of Clairton really put it well when he was talking with our Kaylee Gunderson, is that there's some concern right now about what happened and what took place. But in this moment, here we are at 12:31 on this Monday, more than an hour and a half after a massive explosion at the steel mill. And what the mayor is thinking about, and what the people in the community are thinking about, and what we are thinking about, are the injured individuals, and trying to find out exactly what's going on with them, how they're doing, and what they need. And we're also working to find out about the emergency as it relates to trapped individuals. Yeah, trapped individuals. You're seeing the side of that structure there, where there's been that huge explosion, and you see folks, a lot of those vehicles on the other side. There's really a tall bridge from one structure to the next. Yeah, look at that swarm of people. Okay, you've got a lot of individuals rushing to the scene, trying to help, trying to see what they can do to respond to the situation in an emergency, to be a helper for sure. And we're waiting for word from Allegheny County when this rescue mission comes to a conclusion of trapped individuals inside the wreckage after an explosion at the Clairton Coke Works U.S. Steel plant. All right, the Associated Press now says dozens of people are wounded in this reported explosion at the U.S. Steel Clairton Coke Works. Let's go back out live to Kaylee Gunderson, live on the ground. Kaylee, just information from the Associated Press. They were able to confirm dozens of people responded, dozens of people injured in this. What's the latest from where you are?
Well, Shannon, the scene certainly indicates a major explosion and serious aftermath inside there. Dozens is a jarring word to hear when you look at what's happening out here outside of the plant. We've seen it fluctuate quite a bit just throughout the last nearly 2 hours now since that explosion. We've seen fire trucks, ambulances, the scene growing and then dissipating a bit at times as people are taken from the scene, either by ambulance or by helicopter. And you mentioned a few moments ago the mayor's words. He was here. He obviously rushed to the scene as soon as he heard about what happened, trying to get information himself. He talked about, this being such a staple in the community, but even beyond. I'm even getting texts from people who live in other parts of the county nowhere near here that know someone who works here, and they're immediately concerned when they hear that name that they've heard for years. And then you learn explosion is connected to it. It's a jarring thing to hear, but I want you to hear how the mayor put it, just his concern that he's feeling today.
My heart goes out to everyone, and these things are not supposed to happen, and unfortunately they do happen from time to time. But God bless everyone. I hope no one was killed, and I hope everybody can recover from this, and it's so unfortunate.
And he was speaking to us right as he had learned that this was a rescue and that there were still people inside that they were trying to reach. And of course, that's an effort we can't see from here. We've got Sky 4 and drone showing us glimpses of that effort from overhead, obviously not inside, but just what's coming out of the plant because of it. We'll continue to gather information here as more people show up to this entrance to the plant.
Thank you for that. I just want to reiterate the latest news that we have from the Associated Press that dozens of people have been injured in this explosion. I want to repeat that for you right now. We just learned from the Associated Press that dozens of people have been injured in this. All right, Kaylee's going to go gather some more information and get more information from the scene there right outside the plant. Okay, Brant. Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, Lord.
Take a moment and look at that brand new video of a time lapse of the explosion. This is from the Breathe Project. Okay, they posted this. They have a camera on this facility at all times. This is the first time we're seeing this. All right, we actually want to keep this video a little bit of the explosion that was posted online. Let's get back to Kaylee Gunderson, who's with Senator Fetterman.
Christmas Eve, a couple years ago, there was a large, huge fire here. And again, just reminds everybody how dangerous of a job it is to make steel here and down here in Coke. And, back then, 5 years ago, they did an amazing job to rebuild it immediately, quickly after that. So my whole thoughts go to the families. They've lost someone today, and it's just absolutely tragic. And now I grieve for these families. And again, I'm proud to stand with the steel workers and to make sure why we do anything possible after this terrible tragedy.
So, were there safety concerns?
Yes, that's what I've been heard. And then that there's one up to one people that are now unaccountable and trying to find after that as well too. I mean, let's hope that's just not the case. But my God, it just reminds people of how dangerous of a job that this is.
Senator, I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
What?
Were there prior concerns, safety concerns prior to this?
I mean, I don't think it's not because it's reckless kinds of. It is safe, but it's a dangerous job, undeniably. And to me, it reminds me of that huge fire that happened on Christmas Eve, I think 5 or 6 years ago. And they were able to bounce back, and they rebuilt it in record time, and they used all the union workers in the region now. And I was proud to stand here now, and I plan to do the exact same thing now, whether I was as a lieutenant governor when that happened or as United States Senator. The steel way of life here is sacred, and it's still dangerous. And my thoughts go only to the families that might lose people today.
You said one person. Could you repeat that? I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
Again, this is my understanding that there's other one person that's unaccountable right now, that after what happened with the explosion.
Have you been in touch with U.S. Steel employees?
Yeah, that's what I've heard when I went down there. But again, I don't have, I can't confirm that, but that's what I've seen. But without a doubt, this is tragic what's happened, and I don't know what kind of damage occurred to the facility. But just when this happened back years ago, they were able to come back and rebuild it, and I'm sure that's what they're willing to do. Just after this, just awful.
Senator, what's your message to community members here in Clairton?
It's just heartbreaking. I grieve with all of them, and the shock and the tragedy of what happened today. I was just out here in the area, and I just head straight right here. Again, this is our communities. I live here, and that's why this way of life here is. That's why I fought for it, and to have all this maintained. Whether I live right across the street at the Edgar Thompson plant, I mean that's the way of life out here in this region.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Senator.
And if you are still with us, Shannon, in the studio, this is Senator John Fetterman. He just appeared at the scene. He said he was just nearby, probably at home. He didn't say, but he was nearby when he heard the news. He rushed to the scene, something we've seen him do in the past of much more hyper-local situations. This obviously a huge concern, and he showed up within an hour and a half, of course, to gather information. He also mentioned that he was in touch with U.S. Steel officials. He didn't say when exactly he last spoke to them, but he did say he was able to talk to them, try to get some information. He said, and as we've said, we will confirm this information. So this is not us reporting it, but he had mentioned that he learned one person was still inside. We are trying to confirm the number of people still inside, as this is, as we've said many times now, officially a rescue mission, and we will get that information hopefully as soon as we can here on scene, or from our people here or there at the station working to gather information as well. But we'll bring that to you as soon as we have it.
Kaylee, thank you for that. Just a little bit of perspective on steel in the Mon Valley as we go from you to our reporter, Yasmin Rodriguez, live at UPMC Mercy Hospital. We got Yasmin there. What is the latest where you are, Yasmin?
Yeah, we want to take you live to what we're seeing. We've been here for about half an hour now. This is the first helicopter we have seen land here at UPMC Mercy. Like I said, we've been here for about half an hour. Not much activity happening until right now. We don't know how many patients are inside that helicopter, but we have confirmed that there are 2 patients here at UPMC Mercy. UPMC officials saying that this is the region's only level 1 trauma and burn center. We don't know the condition of those 2 victims yet, but we can only assume if they are being treated in the burn center. Now, I have reached out to officials at the United Steel Workers Union. They're trying to find more information on where the rest of those patients and victims are being flown to. They are expected to give us more information this afternoon, but we just learned a few minutes ago into our newsroom that multiple AHN hospitals are also receiving inbound patients from that plant explosion. They are going to keep us informed. We don't know how many patients, where the hospitals are. UPMC officials are still working to gather information to see if Mercy is the only hospital, but we are hearing reports that both hospitals are being overflowed. Again, we just saw that helicopter land maybe 2-3 minutes ago. We're working to learn the severity of those patients and what else is going on in here, but we will continue to keep you updated. So be sure to stick with us. Shannon.
Yasmin, thank you for that. We will mention that AHN's hospital in West Penn Hospital does have a burn unit as well, but multiple AHN hospitals receiving patients. We have learned that dozens of people have been injured in this explosion at the Clairton Coke Works, the U.S. Steel plant in Clairton. That's part of the Mon Valley Works. And we've got Drone 4 live over the situation. You can see emergency vehicles. You can see the plant clearly as a rescue operation continues to unfold. I want to tell you a little bit about steelmaking in the Mon Valley as we're dealing with this emergency and learning more information about injuries. We know 2 people at UPMC Mercy Hospital are being treated right now by doctors and nurses. You see the Mon Valley Works, you see the Clairton Coke Works here. The coking process, you know, we've talked about it before. This is a plant where they take coal, they heat it up to very high temperatures, they create coke, which is an ingredient in steel, and it's part of the steel making process as well. That ingredient then goes up the river, up the Mon River to the Edgar Thomson Works, and then it goes down the river again to the Irvin plant as well. But the coking process for steel is the oldest way to make steel. There are other U.S. steel operations that use just electricity and electric arc furnaces. They use scrap metal. That's not what takes place in the Mon Valley. They use high heat, they use flame, they use coal and coke to do that. And we have a situation right now where, again, we have a failure at the Clairton Coke Works as part of this steelmaking process in our community in the Mon Valley, where your friends and loved ones work. There's a shot right now on a map to show you where the Clairton Coke Works is and sits on the Mon River as part of a system that straddles the Monongahela River that makes steel in our region and has for more than 100 years. Our reporter Yasmin Rodriguez just a short time ago spoke with a construction worker who was working on a building next to the plant at the time of the explosion on some scaffolding. Not only did he hear that explosion, he felt it.
Tell me what time it happened, what you felt, what was going on.
Oh, I would guess it was probably about 40 minutes ago. Time has flown by. Felt like thunder, but it literally we're on scaffold. Shook the scaffold, shook my chest, and shook the building. And then we saw the dark smoke coming up from the steel mill.
Did you realize it was the steel mill at that time?
Put two and two together, and it's like something bad happened.
And in that moment, did you realize it was the steel mill?
Yeah, you can see it from 837 on the road.
Kind of explain to me what that looks like, that black smoke, and did you see the fire actually billowing?
I did not see any fire. I couldn't see the tops of the flames. All I saw was the black smoke, which has dissipated now. I don't know if they have it under control or whatnot, but not nearly as much smoke as there was a half hour ago.
What does that scene kind of look like now?
Every fire department within 15 miles is here. A lot of ambulances, lots of sirens.
Did you physically hear an explosion?
Oh yeah, it sounded like thunder.
Wow. How far is your work site from the mill?
A half mile to a mile.
So everybody on your site kind of felt it and heard it.
Yeah, not even a half mile. We're pretty close.
I can hear the emergency responders in the background of you. Wow. Have you worked in this area for a long time?
We've been down here for about 2 weeks. We're doing a brick veneer on a building and just so happened to be down here while it was happening.
Any evacuations happening right now in your area?
I honestly, I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Are you guys kind of hunkering down in the meantime?
We're continuing to work. But hopefully, I don't know, maybe it'll be an early quit day. I don't know. I'm just worried about the guys down there.
Yeah. Is there anything else about the scene that you can kind of tell us, describe what's going on? Because we're seeing it from that aerial view, but you're kind of seeing it firsthand. Is there anything else that you can kind of tell us that would help?
From my understanding, there was construction going on down there. It might have been because of the Nissan merger or Nippon merger. I'm not sure, but it could be due to some type of construction.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak facts. This is all opinion.
Can you still see that smoke though right now?
No, not from where I'm at. It's kind of dissipated enough that it's really not the same billowing cloud that it was when it first happened.
You're hearing from people who were there close by when something exploded inside a U.S. Steel operation in Clairton in Allegheny County. We've got our crews all over the region, stretching from the hospital on the Bluff in Pittsburgh, at Mercy, and all the way to Clairton on the ground. We've got folks in the air with Sky 4 showing you the scene of a terrible explosion. A rescue operation continues at this hour. We're getting word that dozens of people have been injured, and medical personnel, EMTs, are getting those injured to every single hospital they can think of. Multiple AHN hospitals pressed into service to treat the wounded from an explosion inside the Clairton Coke Works. All right, our team is covering every angle of this major story from the ground and the air. We've been following it ever since we broke into programming during the 11 a.m. hour. Let's bring back in Sam Hall in Sky 4 to break down what you see right now at 12:47, Sam.
Yeah, we still see smoke, Shannon, coming from the explosion site. And as we have been allowed by air control, again, there were 4 helicopters, medical helicopters, called to this scene. So where we could get and what we could see was kind of limited. But as we've been freed up a little bit now, 3 helicopters have left the scene with patients, we assume. 1 remains on the ground here on the helipad at U.S. Steel. But we can see much more wide this explosion area was and how much damage it's done. A tremendous amount of rubble. You can see damage to the side and the roof of this building. You can see the work shed on top of the building that has been even severely damaged. But further down into the dark near the bridge that connects the 2 buildings, you can see damage to the roof all the way over there. There was a vehicle parked in front of this building that you can see it was knocked all the way across the parking lot and then burned up significantly as well. Crews again remain on the scene here. We do still have a trickle of smoke, but a tremendous amount of emergency first responders on this scene will go in again on the ground. You can see them trying to get some rest, get some water, make sure that they're taking care of themselves as they continue the effort to control the situation and help anyone who may still be trapped inside. More get, of course, as we get it from Sky 4. Shannon.
Sam Hall, thank you for that. Now let's go to Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Kaylee Gunderson live on the ground just outside the gates of that plant. Kaylee, we know that there are coke batteries inside that plant that really cook coal and turn it into coke. They get to very, very high temperatures, and we've heard so much about how this is dangerous work. What's the latest from where you are?
Shannon, I can tell you the danger of this work has been stressed from officials we've heard from here on scene. It's obviously, common sense. People know that, but really stressed here today when you think about what has happened. We heard from Senator Fetterman talking about how, yes, this is, he said, a safe place to work, a safe environment, but there are just natural dangers of the job that come with it, that people know that they have when they sign up to do this very difficult work. When that explosion happened, we heard from a lot of people in this community saying that they really felt that. They felt the shake. It shook their car, it shook their home. They could tell that something was wrong immediately when they felt that. Listen to what William Pierce said. He lives in the area. He was just out walking nearby when he felt it. Listen to what he said.
The first mind thinks you're going to panic. Are we going to evacuate? Are we going to have to evacuate? What's next? Why ain't they going to let us know? Why ain't they going to let us know if there's something going on too? Why ain't they coming to houses like there's a lake? Hey. And
now, obviously, you're still here. Your concern has shifted to the people inside. How are you feeling watching this scene kind of take shape?
Right. He said nothing about
kind of iffy because I know a friend that works at the gas station. Her son works there, and he said he was inches from death the last leak.
Good job.
Taking you back live out to the scene, zoomed in on the entrance here to the Coke Works plant. We just want to show you what it looks like now. Things have calmed down a bit, just in the sense of less vehicles in and out, but still a very active scene as we wait for this rescue mission to officially play out. He described something that we've heard from a lot of people as well, knowing someone connected to this plant. I've heard from a lot of people who have just stopped by, texts. They're wondering if the person that comes to mind when they think of this plant is okay. And that's top of mind for everyone, for officials as well. Are these people okay? What is, the exact extent of what has happened? And that's really top of mind for this community right now, Shannon.
Folks praying for not just the injured, but also the first responders there working on scene to complete this rescue mission. Let's go to Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Yasmin Rodriguez live on Pittsburgh's Bluff at UPMC Mercy Hospital. Yasmin, we're learning dozens were taken to hospitals there where you are and really around Pittsburgh with UPMC and Allegheny Health Network hospitals as well.
Okay, yeah. Listen, we have gotten all of the information that they have available at this time. I will definitely keep an eye on this and let y'all know if anything else develops. Since this is regarding U.S. Steel, more than likely the president will have something to say about this. So if that happens, I will definitely bring that to y'all as well. I appreciate you guys for tuning in this morning. Well, it's afternoon now. If you have not, definitely make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. That way you'll have your notifications on and you can be a part of the next broadcast. You guys have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you for your support, and I will see y'all later.